Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name's English Dave, and I'm here with my co-hosts Rocket Mike and Mercedes. What's up, nerdies?
What's up?
Mercedes wasn't with us. Mercedes wasn't with us last week, but thanks for joining us this week. Of course, she's caught up on WandaVision. But Mercedes, I'm going to start with you because we didn't hear your thoughts last week. What do you think of the show so far?
I love it. Me and Kanji are currently watching it every day. He's like, is there a new one? He was all upset. I was like, listen, patience. Remember back in the old days when we had to wait a week for a television show. Now everybody has a streaming service and they want it instantly. But I love it. So.
Yeah.
No, I think it's one of those shows that I like waiting a week because there's so much to dissect, right? There's so much happening. We spoke on last podcast. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Oh, yeah. How, the first two episodes, even this episode, it seems like, it's just a sitcom. But there's so much happening in the background, especially if you're an eagle-eyed Marvel fans. There's so many subtle Easter eggs that are happening that pertain to what may happen in the future. But now we're on episode 3, titled Now in Color. Aptly titled Now in Color. I have a few friends who are like, is this whole show going to be black and white? I'm like, seriously? Keep watching it. What's wrong with you? Of course not. The synopsis is as follows. Wanda's pregnancy fritzes her powers as she and Vision prepare for an accelerated delivery. Yes, this episode gives us both pregnancy and birth in very, very interesting MCU type ways. And brief overall thoughts, Mike, on this episode. Things get revealed. Color gets revealed. We see the outside of the dome. Your overall brief thoughts.
Theories are coming together. The wheels are turning, and we're starting to see the whole thing in motion. We're not going to give anything away. It's kind of hard to speak on this without going straight into it, but there's a lot more Truman Show-y things happening that I am loving. Mm-hmm. And just to see kind of like all these little cracks to show and the things start coming up from a cloud of suspicion. It's been a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah. Mostly positive. That's what I got.
Mercedes as well. When you finish this episode, what were your brief thoughts?
My brief thoughts were I was just so shocked and not surprised, but just mesmerized because I knew the acting was going to be good. Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, great actors on their own. It's just like they're good at their job. But after this episode, I was just mesmerized by the entire cast, how well acted it is, because it's not necessarily about just, Wanda and Vision kind of being like, where are we? I don't know what's going on. But it's kind of everybody encompassing that and everyone working off of their own, being unaware or awkward. And that's what I love about it. Like all these people acting, but it's kind of creepy. It's very much David Lynch. We got the Truman Show vibes. It's super cool. So that's what I was like. This acting in the show is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the acting we spoke on that last episode, but this one continues because not only have they got to act, they've got to act era appropriate, right? And that's what makes it layered and nuanced. And some characters have to act like they're acting because there's subtext to what's happening.
Thank you for elaborating. That's what I meant. Because we see this in shows that have an hour, an hour and 15 minutes. We're talking about 22 minutes. And these people are doing the complete range of acting skills. And it's amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kathryn Hahn is a perfect example of that. Mm-hmm. Pretty easy to tell that her and a few others are purposely putting on this character. It's almost really in your face caricature of the way that style matches. So it's okay, whoa, right? Where's everyone going with this? And it's is it just me? Is it just them? Is everyone in on this? So it's nice. It's seeing everything these layers starting to be peeled off one at a time.
And that's the good thing about the mystery, right? Is as layers are being pulled off, as questions are answered, you're like, damn it, more questions. What does this mean?
Exactly. It doesn't ever finish a sentence. Every time you're like, woo, I checked that box. And it's wait, no.
It's I didn't understand.
There's a new one. So.
But let's go into the actual episodes itself. This time we are in the 70s and we get an appropriate 70s style intro theme, which I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
That
I don't know if that's a 70s song. I feel like, but that was 70s porn.
Probably. That probably was sorry.
Yeah, 70s porn, yes.
70s. It's just 70s, guys. We're in the right era.
So many homages to the intro in that. I think we all caught the Brady Bunch, right? Yes. I think like that font, like in title blocks around. Mm-hmm. I noticed there was like also Mary Tyler Moore when they did like the repeating titles of WandaVision, and it's like in so many different colors. Yep. There was that scene where Vision was just riding a bike and topples over, something like that. That was straight from Three's Company. Yeah, and then there's just like the whole house itself that they were living was all ripped straight from the Brady Bunch. That was so cool, and the backyard too with the AstroTurf.
Yeah, when they did the playground, like the
swing. Yeah.
Yep.
Which did you guys notice? Again, the setup that Vision builds has 2 swings and a seesaw.
Yeah. Why?
You can't have one child for that. That's 2 children that you need to use. That's a little hint at the number of kids they were going to get. That was a nice little touch as well. Speaking of the children, the first scene has them preparing for parenthood. You have Dr. Nielsen, which is supposed to be a wink and nod at the television rating, the Nielsen ratings, which up until probably about 5-10 years ago was how they judged whether or not what people were watching, the Nielsen ratings. So Dr. Nielsen, who's also a very sexist doctor, we spoke on this, Mercedes, last week, how the show doesn't steer away from the fact that comedy of that time was also was very, very sexist because of the era and expectations of gender and things like that. So when he says, "Oh, we let the little ladies keep tabs on their growing babies with fruit," makes it simple for them. I was like, damn, what the fuck?
Their little heads could have. I was like, damn.
I was like,
we're not even gonna like hide the condescension in that, but I like it.
Just gonna throw it in there. But again, it's not pretending that it doesn't exist. And what I like about how the show does it, it doesn't do it for, we're just doing it for comedy to laugh. It's like you're like, hey, wait a minute, people did say stuff like that. So it makes you more.
These are like our bad Back to the Future episodes where we're like, that didn't age well, and now I'm sad. Like, fuck. Like, I don't want to see that. But we did. But it's like, face it up, face the truth. That's true. Here we are.
But again, if Wanda's recreating the American television she saw, this is how she would have seen it.
Yeah,
right? It would be exactly like this. Vision again we start seeing more teasers of Vision trying to figure out or noticing that something is wrong. He starts to question that, hey, this pregnancy is happening very fast. And again, this show is very smart. It plays that as comedy, like, haha, you're super pregnant. But then the subtext is like, wait, she is super pregnant. What the fuck? How is that happening? Everything seems to be going very, very quickly. And again, another hint we see of the world falling apart when Herb is just like cutting through the fence. And he's like, hey, Herb, I think you went by the shrubs. Oh, did I?
It's like, does Android lose kind of function? It's like, haha. It's like, oh.
It's like, what the hell? And then Vision walks back in.
And the subtle like pain in his eyes that is saying, like, help me.
Like, please. I can't control myself.
Gotta dig out of here.
Right? And then Vision goes to tell Wanda, goes back and is like, whoa, shit. He just noticed she's extra pregnant.
Yeah.
The stomach's even bigger. And I like
that's
how
like a normal reaction, too. Like, you would want people like...
That would have been appropriate.
Like, I don't...
If Marvel used their one shit, I think that would have been right where you put it.
Right.
Walk up the door. Oh, shit. What the fuck?
What is that?
Way to go now. Yeah.
The two of them start talking about baby names, and they decide, and again, another hint at Wanda here. She wants the name Tommy because she feels it's a classic American name. We get hints that throughout this whole series so far that she's trying to hide within that perfect American life, which now extends to naming her child Tommy. But Vision wants Billy, as in William Shakespeare, because he likes Shakespeare. Because those who don't know, Billy is short for William. It's one of those weird short names where you're like, wait, what? How does that make sense? But it does. Trust
If you didn't know that, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Just saying.
William, Will, Bill. For some reason, that's how it goes.
There you go. But not Will Smith. Will Smith, people think he's William. It's Willard. It's not William. There's another fun fact, yes.
He's a Willard, yeah.
It's Willard,
what?
Not William. There you
Weird.
go. It's not William
the
Smith.
The hell did I never know that? I feel like this is like...
No, I would be Will, too. I'm like, don't call me Willard.
Willard, yeah.
Vision is doing a good job at speed diaper changing. Amazing. And he's so happy about it. But at that point, Wanda starts getting some contractions, minor contractions, but the house starts to go cray-cray, knocking things over the floor and even across the street. I love this, the sequence when we cut to the neighbor. I think it's, what's his name? Phil, his house, when the wife was like, do these earrings make me look fat? The lights go off.
It's like, oh, thank God.
It's like, oh, thank God. Brilliant comedy. I love that.
Just do like these earrings make my butt look, or do these earrings make me look fat?
Like what?
I feel like this question is designed for me to fail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They nailed it.
And then Wanda starts to worry that, wait, if these minor contractions can start causing all this trouble, what's going to happen when we actually get, the real contractions, the baby's actually coming? And Vision agrees that, the town could discover their secret. And as this conversation starts to happen, Vision starts to ask even more questions. And boom, like a weird jump cut happens. And we get a sense, and I love how this is done, because we've seen it in the previous episode that Wanda can rewind time. So we see the same thing, but from Vision's point of view.
Did you think something happened?
Yes.
With your TV?
You're like, what? Like,
did you have like a connection issue or something? Because it was quick.
For 2.5
right?
seconds, I was like, I was like, no, fuck. Wait, you ain't gonna get me, show. You ain't gonna get me.
Damn it, Disney Plus. I paid you for this.
I almost picked up. I was like, hold on, I think I missed something. This is weird. Did something? Then as you kept saying, I'm like, oh, there's no more content.
Right. Okay. Yelling at the TV, be like,
I see what you. Okay.
You think you're part of you're in that world as well.
Yeah. I was ashamed.
Yeah. And then
and then there was like that little wallow moment because you realize like you're so hung up on a show 3 episodes in, like this invested yelling at your TV.
They betrayed you. Yeah.
At this point, Wanda's contractions push even more, and Vision's getting excited. He starts lifting up in the air, and she has to help him calm down. That was really funny. And then suddenly it starts to rain, which I thought was great symbolism, because instantly my water broke, says Wanda. I was like, ah. And, Mercedes, I want to ask you this question. Actually, I'll ask both of you this question. Wanda clearly is hiding things from Vision, and Vision is starting to see things in terms of see the holes, right? And starts to ask questions. My question, 2 questions. Is this Vision the real Vision? Or is he a creation? Like once this thing disappears, he will disappear too. Mercedes, I'm going to ask you first. And what is Wanda hiding?
I think he is the real Vision. And I don't think Wanda is hiding. I think it's subconsciously. There's been off and on Easter eggs of House of M. And I feel like we've already talked about this, but they're going to use it as kind of like a guide map. Not necessarily like a roadmap, but hey, maybe stop off here. And I think where we're stopping off is that she's being controlled. We kind of got tidbits of that at the end of episode 1 because we saw how it zoomed out and it changed into the different aspect ratio of the screen. So that's how we realized we were getting into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but still within the television show. But yeah, so I don't think she knows, and I think she's so afraid because she knows the trauma that she went through, but she'd rather stay in the pocket of happiness that she has than realize what's behind the door.
Well, but here's the question, right? And which I'm going to pick to you, Mike, because the question is, because I'm of the camp that this is the real Vision, but there's a part of me that's going off what you just said, Mercedes.
That's what I'm saying. It is the real Vision.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I'm saying I'm of that same camp with you. But there's the opposite camp, which has some kind of reason to it based on what you just said. She's in denial. What if the denial is that she can't accept that Vision is dead? And that's the denial. What if that it is? So, Mike, I'm putting up to you. What do you think?
Ooh, I mean, okay. I can kind of relate this to another show that I've been watching that's currently on called Servant. M. Night Shyamalan's Apple series also deals with a woman who is in denial of something she did that was life-changing. And all of this to deny has been only causing more problems. And so this is obviously that's the dark side of it, knowing his vision. But with this, it's I can see how Vision is real because it is hard to kill a program that intelligent. I feel like it's still somewhere out there in some connection. And she found a way to bring it back because we're starting to feel how powerful she really is. And I feel like this is the only way she was able to do it for some reason through this kind of like television barrier. Because if you've noticed also at the end of the episode, their barrier, their Truman Show like world created the little lights. Was it the green, blue, and red lights that go represent the screen of a television? So I'm kind of between two, where I don't know if she's purposely doing this to herself and creating maybe even this alternative version of Vision, almost close to the T, putting herself to give her this, healing process, if that's what she wants to call it, or somebody else is doing this to her to protect her from the rest of the world, or weird combination of both that I don't understand. But it's a trip, and I am still in limbo.
And I think that's part of the mystery that
to say the least.
we are waiting to uncover. But before that, we are taken to one of the patented fake commercial breaks. This time it's with a mom who's kind of contending with the soccer ball and her breakfast. Everything's going crazy in her house, and it's like, "Do you need a break?" says the voiceover. And we cut to the mom in a balcony getting fanned by a servant, and a bubble bath saying "Hydra soak," and it says something along the lines of be somewhere else, or live a dream, or something like that. Which, again, these commercials could be one of two things. They could be either showing us the past trauma of Wanda, because we've seen Stark and Strucker and Hydra, or it could be telling us more things, because there's a part of me that thinks Hydra/AIM is involved in what's going on with Wanda, but we'll touch on that later on. But fun fact, have you noticed they use the same two actors in all the commercials? I'd say there's a theory that's... Okay, go on, Mercedes. What's the theory? Do you know the theory? What's the theory?
Mama and Papa. Explain, Dave. Explain what Mama and Papa mean.
That's the theory. The theory is it's Wanda and Pietro's parents. Because in Ultron, which everybody watched a bit of Ultron as soon as this was over, by the way, and that turned on.
Everyone's like, hey, this wasn't so bad after all. 5 years later.
They had to give it more meaning.
Right. It's mentioned that a Stark missile killed their parents, and people are assuming that these may be her parents. We shall find out. Scene 2, Wanda dries up the rain, and they call the doctor again, but he is leaving for Bermuda. Vision literally runs over to the house, and while at home by herself, Wanda hears some bird noises, but before she can investigate, the doorbell rings, and it's Geraldine, and Wanda tries to hide her pregnancy, which is a very popular trope in comedies. Or TV series. Every time an actor is pregnant, but they don't want the character to be pregnant, they always find interesting ways to have... You always see like the actress wearing like baggy clothes, or standing behind a couch, or carrying a box. We've all seen those in sitcoms, and so that's literally what the joke is here. Is she's trying to hide her pregnancy, but it doesn't work too well. And literally a stork shows up as Geraldine's talking about her promotion. Wanda's trying to distract her. We get some fun comedy with a stork trying to bite at her pants. If you guys paid attention, her pants have little fishies on them. That's why the stork's like, "Come here, fishies, come here, fishy." And Wanda tries to magic it away, and it's not working. Every time she does a hex powers. I love the effect of the smoke going around the stork, but the stork not disappearing.
The red smoke.
The red smoke was done really well. I was like, ooh, it's kind of cool. It didn't look CGI. It looked like actual smoke. I thought it was a nice little touch. Geraldine, looking for supplies, wanders into the nursery and is shocked to see that it doesn't see the stork, shocked to see the nursery. Wanda drops the vase. The baby is coming. We cut to Vision and the doctor. The Vision grabs him. Back to Wanda. The baby is coming. Geraldine calmly is helping. And I love the line where she says, "I know I'm late to the party, but I assume there's a logical explanation for all of this." And I feel like that's a description for the show. The baby is born. It's a boy. Vision is upset that he didn't arrive on time. Even they try to get there as fast as they can. And so Geraldine takes the doctor to the kitchen, and Vision meets his son for the first time as himself. He transforms his face. I like that moment, when Wanda says you want to see your son for the first time. And he calls him Tommy. Goes by what Wanda wanted, being such a good hubby. Such a good hubby. Look at him. Wanda's contractions start again. It's another baby. This time Vision is there to see it. They have twin boys. They both get their wish. They can name their boys both names that they wanted. So Mike, I want to ask you, these, the way this show handles comedy at the same time as making that comedy work for the narrative, How do you think that was showcased? And what do you think the show is trying to tell us about these babies?
It's funny to see him go from kind of having all the answers, because he literally does, to kind of like just losing his cool. And it's like, all right, let me go just find the doctor. And then basically like picking him up and flying him over to the house and acting like that's normal. Yeah.
Right, I don't care.
It's like, no time. Let's just hop on my back. This is all.
I like how they don't address that either. He's like, can we walk this time?
We went so fast, it was like I was flying.
It was like he was flying. Because you were. He could fly. So, yeah, like they have been matching the comedy that was, of the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s now. And just to see it can, follow through it matches perfect, because if you're going back and watch these old episodes of Brady Bunch or, Mary Tyler Moore or whatever, they all fall into the same style, same kind of like script structure.
I think they've done a good job of, it's not just comedy for the sake of it. Every comedic beat is also a narrative beat at the same time, right? It's not just for the sake of comedy. It's also layered and telling us something, or it's a question about something about the larger world. Vision walks the doctor back home in time for his vacation, but the doctor says he can't leave. And he says, I don't think we'll get away after all. Small town, so hard to escape. And I think that's a very touching sign again. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the car wasn't working. I think this is Wanda's power working as subconscious. Stop the car from working. You're not leaving. You can't get out of this town. And that's the doctor trying to say something, trying to give a hint at Vision and saying, hello, we're all trapped. And at the same time, Vision notices the neighbors, Agnes and Herb, they're gossiping over something. And he can't quite figure out what they're saying. Meanwhile, inside, Wanda tells Geraldine about her brother, Pietro. Those of you who've been paying attention, Pietro was last seen in Age of Ultron. He was killed by a machine gun. You didn't see that coming. And
best way to go down.
She starts singing a Sokovian lullaby and cut back to outside. Herb points out to Vision that Geraldine is actually brand new in town, and Agnes adds that she has no family, no husband, and no home. So everyone's like, where's she coming from? Who's that person? Back in the house, Geraldine, her expression, her face, her demeanor slightly shifts, and she mentions about Wanda's brother. He was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And this is a huge, huge, huge Easter egg for many fans. It's a name drop right there. We all know who Ultron is. Wanda starts getting aggressive. She asks, why would you say that name? And then Geraldine starts acting weird. And we and Wanda notice the sword and necklace. I didn't notice that necklace early on. I don't know if it was there the whole time or just appeared. Either way, the sword and necklace is there. And Wanda tells her to leave. We cut to outside. Herb tries to tell Vision that something is happening. He even says she came here because but he can't quite get the words out. And Agnes says no and leaves. Mercedes, what do you think Herb was trying to say? And like me, I think Agnes is on a different level of understanding, and I think she actively stopped him. But what's your thoughts?
I mean, that's basically what I was going to say. I feel like Herb was definitely going to spill like the real beans. And she had to stop him because, yes, she needed him like a means to an end, kind of like to push the fact that we need to get Geraldine out of this house. But then once she started to realize, like, it was almost like she lost her grip of her own self, because she was so into like trying to convince Vision to get Geraldine out that once Herb like was like going too much off the script, she was like snapped him right back to it. So. Yeah, like, did I answer your question?
It does. I think
I did, right?
I think Agnes has more to do. We spoke about it last episode. Agnes possibly being a character called Agatha Harkness, who's an actual witch from the Salem era. Everyone forgets Wanda's superhero name is Scarlet Witch. The witch side is something, you got to play on the witch aspect of it. Yep. And I think as much as the townsfolk are under a spell, I don't think Agnes is under the spell. I think she's there. I think she has her own motives, and Sword was going to get in the way of that. And like you said, she needed to get rid of Geraldine because Sword is getting in the way. But I don't think Agnes is as trapped as Herb. I think Agnes has slightly more control. And a part of me, and again, this is not just my theory, I think Agnes wanted Wanda to have the babies. I think the babies are the reason. You know, we had previous episode for the children, and a lot of subtle hints in the past 2 episodes about having babies. I think there's a reason for these babies. It's not just random. But we're taken to the last scene. Vision returns inside, asks where Geraldine is. And Wanda says, oh, she had to rush home. Wanda has a weird expression on her face. The aspect ratio starts to shift. We start to get excited. What's going on? We see a modern version of the Welcome to Westview sign, which tells us that Westview is an actual city. Last week we posited that Westview might be a name that Wanda created as a view of the West, but we were wrong in that one. Westview is an actual, not city, an actual town, it looks like. And we see that there's a force field bubble. Geraldine is thrown out of that force field. And like Mike touched on earlier in the episode, the visual of the force field looks like the distorted cathode ray television tubes pictures with the blue, green, and red, the RGB colors, which is a nice little touch. Geraldine lies on the floor. We hear the song Daydream, The Believer by the Monkees, which plays, which I think is appropriate music that was playing. And then she's surrounded by government agents, which we assume are fellow sword agents. And we get the confirmation. We see the outside. Camera pans out. We see the whole visual. What do you think is going on now, guys? 3 episodes in. Let me ask you a final question. I'm going to start with you, Mike. Sword, are they the good guys or are they the bad guys? Is there a third party involved? Thoughts?
Sword and Shield. Who are they together? Sounds like they usually would be together. In this case, I don't know. Because they serve different purposes and sometimes that can be conflicting. But for now, I was like, okay, that's still very interesting. I told most, but like I said, it's too close to call. It ain't over till it's over. And I've played this game with Game of Thrones and then Lovecraft Country.
I know.
And I'm ready to be like, you know what? Marvel's really good at pulling some wild cards.
Yes, they are.
And I almost don't want to guess too hard in order just to kind of like leave it open for that surprise.
This is very true. Mercedes, after 3 episodes.
After 3 episodes, it's so hard to like not give away too much.
Hey, you can give away anything. This is all spoilers. So whatever we've seen up until this point.
True. I can tell you whatever I think. I can tell you whatever I
think. Comics are free reign because it doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen if it happened in the comics. So that's free reign.
So what I think is happening is I love the Scarlet Witch. House of M, we've talked about this before, is one of my favorite just graphic novels in general. Just a piece of work. It's great. And what I love about it is like how unaware she is of her own situation. So I don't think that she's created this universe out of like on purpose. I do think the Vision is real, but I think that the Vision can't figure out what's going on with him is because he does something to recreate the Mind Stone. And I think that has something to do with it. Because she recreates it, she has some sort of power over it. So I think that has to do with it. And then I think, remember, I don't know if we talked about this in the last podcast, but like all of the Infinity Stones are linked. So if all the Infinity Stones are linked, and she has access to the Mind Stone, which means she would have access to the Soul Stone and all of them. So it would be pretty likely that it's the real Vision, but now the both of them are going to have to work together to try to either fix fix what she had done, and then I still think we're going to have to deal with the repercussions of her actions. I don't think the children are Vision.
True.
I think the children belong to Agnes, who's Agnes.
Tune in next week, nerdies, as we'll find out episode 4 as things get revealed. Let us know your theories so far. Find us on social media at The Nerdie Bunch. Thank you, Rocket Mike.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you, nerdies. This has been an episode of Something to Marvel About. And as always, Mercedes.
Keep it nerdy, y'all.
Keep it nerdy, nerds.
Peace.